Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Pulsex. We're going to talk about what is Pulsex and why did people give it $1 billion. Now, for those of you that are watching this, you may be already entrenched in the Pulsex Hex and Pulse Chain community, and you'll just dive in deeper. For many of you, this is going to be your first ever Pulsex video, so I'm going to give you everything you need to know. And for those of you that haven't watched my previous videos, after this, please watch them because I go over the whole Pulsex, sacrifice, how it works, how to actually sacrifice, and much more. So you can see all these updates on the Pulsex website. You can see the rate in which Pulsex is being, the sacrifice is happening, the topmost sacrifice coins, and the actual dollar amount as well. But let's get straight into it. So on January the 10th, the first stage of Pulsex sacrifice ended, bringing a total investment into the project to $1 billion and making it one of the largest funding rounds, albeit unofficial, in crypto history. So guys, this is massive. Now, why aren't you seeing this in the forefront? Why aren't you seeing this across the board in the crypto community? Because I will say Richard Hart, which is the founder of this project, who also founded Hex, Pulse Chain, etc. I don't know why, but even though he does have a large community, he's not really liked or appreciated in the wider crypto community, which is why I will say, as an unbiased speculator, he's definitely been suppressed. And an example of this would be Hex, right? You've probably never heard of it, right? That's because it's not really listed on many exchanges. And on CoinGecko, it's not listed at all, right? Well, it's not ranked. So technically it should be a top 6, top 8 cryptocurrency, but you wouldn't know that because unfortunately, we don't know why, but it's not ranked. And I'm not going to get into that in this video. So it's very interesting, right? So this comes just 4 months after the $500 million sacrifice to Pulse Chain, a future Ethereum fork on which Pulsex is expected to be the main DEX, which is decentralized exchange. And this is a total USD sacrifice so far. You can see from this article, the actual sacrifice has increased and is increasing by the day. A disclaimer on the Pulsex website reads, by sacrificing your crypto, you do not buy Pulsex. You can give your crypto away and sacrifice it as a political statement. Depending on whether you ask detractors or supporters, this clause is either a loophole to avoid being labeled as security by the SEC or evidence that it's the next BitConnect. And for those of you who do not know what BitConnect is, it was a major Ponzi scheme, a major scam, right? But I can say from an unbiased commentator and unbiased speculator, there has been no such activity that has ever been documented surrounding any of Richard Hart's projects or Richard Hart himself. And again, guys, this is me just speaking as an unbiased commentator. If you look at the project, it's all above board. It all seems to be, all above board, and it's doing quite well as well. So this, in my opinion, is to avoid being labeled as security by the SEC. And this isn't unique. Many other cryptocurrency projects do this as well. So it would be very unfair to just label this on Pulsex, right? So please keep that in mind when following this, right? So we'll definitely cut that out because I don't believe that is the case. Now, assuming most of the funds sacrificed were de facto investments made with the expectation of profit, nor came from wallets associated with the team to inflate the project, how did a chain led by Richard Hart, founder of controversial cryptocurrency Hex, become one of the largest crowdfunding campaigns in crypto history? And why is the discussion almost entirely limited to the Hex community? Now, how funny, because I was literally just talking about that before we actually got onto this point, and it's so true. Why is that the case, right? The Hex community is strong, is really strong, which is why we're seeing the sacrifice mainly from, again, you can see it, Hex wallets, for doing this sacrifice, etc. But why is it only limited to the Hex community? Why is Hex Richard Hart being suppressed and not really being discussed in a broader crypto community? Very interesting stuff, right? The article will explain what some believe Pulsechain and Pulsex will do. It will also list the reasons some believe the project is a scam. So let's talk about it, guys. So what problem does Pulsechain solve, right? So Pulsechain is another one of Richard Hart's projects, which is an actual important read because it's going to lead on to Pulsex. So well done for making it this far in the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, click the bell notification icon so you can stay up to date with all my recent videos. And remember, guys, you have to show the community that you want to see more Pulsex videos. And the only way to do that is by commenting, and subscribing. And of course, join that Telegram group using the link in my description. Let's continue with the video. And remember, guys, nothing that you see in this video is financial advice. So always make sure to do your own independent research as well. So what problem does Pulsechain solve? Hundreds of successful dApps have launched on the Ethereum, but the network's popularity has made it expensive to use and slow. In 2021, gas fees, the price to validate transactions, occasionally reach hundreds of dollars. And for those of you that have ever tried to transact using the Ethereum chain, or use any of these dApps, you will know exactly what this is referring to, right? Cough, cough. Uniswap, etc. This made developers realize the potential of the new layer 1 chains like Solana, Binance Smart Chain, and Polygon that host their own dApps. Some of these chains are not compatible with Ethereum and require bridging solutions to interoperate. Others, like Polygon, are compatible with Ethereum. For users, the most obvious benefit of using the EVM compatible chain is that you can swap an ERC20 token on that DEX or buy a project token from your chain on the Ethereum DEX like Uniswap, right? Which is what I was just saying before. So when building a layer 1 chain, developers can theoretically copy the entirety of Ethereum's code, create a radically different protocol, or as in the case of Binance Smart Chain, make some improvements to it. In crypto language, a fork of a blockchain means an improved version with developers making changes to protocol and its rules. When Ethereum makes upgrades, e.g. the London upgrade, they are called forks as well. According to the founder, Richard Hart, Pulsechain will be a fork of Ethereum. The main claims are 4x throughput, proof of stake, deflationary mechanism. Additionally, all dApps from Ethereum will also be forked. In other words, the goal is to copy Ethereum and build an ecosystem from the start. Now that's Pulsechain for those of you that were interested in that. Now what we're going to do is lead on to Pulsex, and I'll make this quick because I already did a full video on this, and then we'll get to the point here and we'll talk more about that Pulsex potential price. So well done for making it this far in the video. So what is Pulsex? And Ethereum ecosystem will be copied over to Pulsechain. Pulsex will be the fork of Uniswap. It is intended to be the main DEX decentralized exchange of the Pulsechain ecosystem. For reference, PancakeSwap is also a fork of Uniswap and achieved this an analogous function on Binance Smart Chain, right? DEXs like SushiSwap and Uniswap have their own governance tokens, Sushi and Uni, respectively, which grant voting rights to holders. PLSX will be Pulsex token, and people who sacrifice get a number of points based on the size and timing of their contribution. These points correspond to a quantity of PLSX to be airdropped to their wallets once the exchange launches. Now I've done a whole video on this, so make sure you watch that to dive deeper into this. So likewise, Pulsechain's native cryptocurrency will be airdropped to those who sacrifice for that project. The price of PLSX and PLS will start at $0, and subsequent price targets are nobody's guess, right? Well, some people are already guessing $40. Some people are already guessing $100. But guys, we have to put this into perspective. Many believe that Pulse will launch on March or April and Pulsex towards the end of the year. Will Pulse solve Ethereum congestions? Now, I'm not going to get into all of this stuff, guys, but what I am going to get into, and I believe it's fair to get into why some people believe this is a scam, right? So we have to show the good, and we have to show the bad, and we have to also show the ugly, right? The good, the bad, the ugly, right? So let's do that now. Why some believe Pulse is a scam. The biggest criticism of Pulse and Pulsex is that they are directly connected to Hex, a controversial token that has performed well in terms of price, but with questionable fundamentals. Now, isn't that interesting? It's performed well in terms of price, and it's been around for quite some time, but some people are still questioning the fundamentals of the project, which is very interesting because this doesn't really happen in the cryptocurrency space. As long as a coin is performing and has performed over a longer period of time, people never question the project. They typically put their criticisms to bed and say, you know what, maybe this is a project that is community backed. Maybe this is a project that isn't a rug pull after all. But for some reason, this notion still looms Richard Hart and his project. So let's dive deeper. According to Richard Hart, Hex aims to be the blockchain's native certificate of deposit. Actual certificates of deposit exist because financial institutions use such deposits to gain returns through the market. They can do this because the currency you deposit, e.g. USD, has salability and value which can be employed, which banks do after leveraging it. In other words, certificates of deposit work because the bank uses the purchaser's money to create value, namely in the form of loans. The money does not generate value by simply sitting in an account, and the currency's soundness precedes the fact that it can be deposited to earn interest. In other words, locking in mechanisms is necessary but not sufficient condition for CDs in the traditional sense to work. Currently, the high APY that crypto staking earns comes from tokens facility currency swap on exchanges, a service with very high demand. As it stands, Hex facilitates no service, does not generate value via loans, nor has widespread adoption as a digital currency. So where does the high annual APY come from? The high returns are maintained entirely by the purchaser of new Hex that is not staked, which is the classic Ponzi scheme. Now, guys, remember, this is not my words. This is obviously from the writer of this article. Now, how do we interpret this information, right? That's what this boils down to. Remember, guys, don't get defensive. Do not get angry by these claims or by these assertions, but let's analyze it. Let's compare it. Let's break it down and see if this holds weight. So, the high returns are maintained entirely by the purchase of new Hex that is not staked, which is the classic Ponzi scheme. We need to do another video on this, guys, because we could say this about the majority of the cryptocurrency space if that is the case. Right now, of course, that is deflection. One could say that's a deflection because we're not talking about the cryptocurrency space. We're talking about Hex. We could also say that about the financial system that we have at the moment. Is it Ponzi scheme? Is it? Again, is a subject for another day. If you would like to see me get more in depth into that, break that down and put certain things to bed, let me know. Comment below, especially those of you that have made it this far. Furthermore, scams and Ponzi schemes in the traditional financial market are often cloaked as certificates as deposit as well. CDs that significantly outperform the market tend to attract the attention of regulators, and so-called digital certificates of deposit, especially those that claim to provide too good to be true returns, should be scrutinized heavily. Of course, scrutiny is important. Questioning is important, especially for projects that claim to be the cream of the crop, right? Remember, pressure makes diamonds, right? The counter argument, however, is that Hex smart contract is built to incentivize price stability. The reality is Bitcoin is only as good as its perceived value, and indeed was worth very little until it received widespread adoption as risky but profitable investment asset. In other words, the desire to get rich the desire to get rich pumped Bitcoin, and arguments about the soundness of its fundamentals followed. Very interesting. I like the way, this author is trying to be unbiased as possible, give both points, and it's true. It's definitely true. Now, eventually, Bitcoin might become widespread currency, but it will have started as a highly speculative asset that was also frequently called a scam. Hit the nail on the head. Hex claims to take the functionality of Bitcoin, but uses proof of stake and adds a staking mechanism that increases returns to those who complete their term in negative proportion to those who do not. Instead of paying newly minted currency, i.e. the inflation, to miners as with Bitcoin, Hex pays inflation to stakers who provide stability. Ideally, the potential for easy profits will fuel mass adoptions, after which an efficient ecosystem can be built upon its fundamental. Pulsechain and Pulsex are supposed to be the initial steps of that ecosystem. I like this, James. James is the author of this. A very good article. I mean, I could dive deeper. If you guys want the article, I can definitely link it below. But just to conclude, right? So for those of you who didn't know what Pulsex is, now you do. Why do people give it $1 billion is a magic question. It's because people believe in Richard Hart and they believe in the community. That's the answer, guys. That's what's really driving this. This is what is, increasing that wide adoption, as well as education as well. Also, some more astute investors are basically saying to themselves, well, every Richard Hart project so far has done pretty well. And now, of course, we're mainly talking about Hex, performed well. Could we see a similar with Pulsechain? Could we see a similar result with Pulsex? So this is what people are also speculating on as well. And according to the community, as long as you have community, you have everything. And this is a strong community that believe in Richard Hart, believe in the project. So for me personally, I see this as a speculative bet, but it does look quite solid in my humble opinion. Now, just to conclude this video, because I can go on and on. This could be easily a 30-minute to 1 hour video. I've literally just, we're not even seeing the tip of the iceberg yet. But if you enjoyed it, I need to know in the comment section and I will continue. But guys, and there's a big but here. The $40 price prediction, the $100 price prediction, the $1,000 price prediction. Let's put things into perspective, guys. We need more information. Yes, there's no question, there's no doubt that this could become a real monster. But instead of paying attention to the dollar amount, because we don't even know how many coins are going to be in circulation. So how does one even come to these, highly speculative, numbers and figures? But one thing I can say is we could be looking at the next 100x, the next 1000x. But we're going to have to wait and see. Guys, until the next update, seize the day.